This is the Allied Esports Campus Connect, where we break down how colleges are turning passion for gaming into real careers. Every episode, we highlight a school that's building real pipelines, broadcast, production, STEM, player development, the whole ecosystem. Today, we're talking with Joey from Syracuse University, a school that's leveling up what esports looks like on campus. Let's jump in.
My name is Dr. Joey Goriziak. I'm the Executive Director of Esports here at Syracuse University, where I operate under our Fall College of Sport, our Newhouse School of Public Communication, and out of our student experience, because that's what esports looks like here in Syracuse, is that it has this holistic view to it. I've been here for a little more than 2 years. Started the program back in the fall of 2023. We had a club team a little around before that a little bit, but in the fall of 2023, we started recruiting for the academic major, writing the curriculum, and started introducing the ideas of our varsity competition and building our new facilities.
Give us the origin story. When did Syracuse formally stand up esports as a campus initiative, and what was the initial mandate?
So we've had a club here at Syracuse University since about 2016. And so that's typical club fashion, student run, student organized, student supported. And they got together, we're running events, we're doing some competitions. And then a couple of years after that, the chancellor here at Syracuse got an eye on it and said, you know what, there's something to this esports thing. Why don't we really support this and go into it big? And if we're gonna go into it, we're gonna do it right. If we're gonna go big, let's really go big. Let's set a standard. The chancellor here, Chancellor Syverud, he's all about having a seat at the table. And so he wants to make sure that if we're gonna do something and really dip our toes into it, we're gonna really take it seriously and invest the kind of resources and funding behind it to do it the right way and do it in a way that makes sense for our learners and our community. So a couple years after the club formed, seeing the popularity of it, seeing the facility that was built at our barn center at the Arch and how full it was any night with students coming to play video games casually, some competitively. That was consoles, it was PCs, it was tabletop games. He saw the popularity of it and really kind of saw the writing on the walls, like there's something to this. There's something more than just playing video games. So in about 2019, 2020, obviously we know what's going on around that time with COVID and everything that was happening with that. But he had the idea of, what about an academic program? What about something that teaches people about the ecosystem that esports operates in, similar to like sport management? And so he tasked some people with developing some esports curriculum, with seeing what that looked like, as well as dedicating some additional resources to a second facility on campus. And so back in fast forward about 2 years after that to about 2022, I get a call from Syracuse asking, hey, would you be interested in maybe learning more about some of the programs that we have, some offerings that we're kind of building around here? I said, sure. At the time, I was at Shenandoah University, loving my time there at Shenandoah, building the program on the esports side. I taught in sport management down there. But I kind of knew that Division I is where I wanted to be. And hearing the vision that Syracuse had was really exciting to me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm on board with this. I'm on board with the chancellor's vision. I'm on board with the resources being put behind this. I'm on board with the impact that I think it can have for the current and the future learners, not just at Syracuse, but really the whole ecosystem that exists at the collegiate level in the US and around North America. And so I was really excited for the opportunity because I saw all that momentum. So in 2023, I came up here. We had plans for a second facility that we finalized that year. We have plans for the academic curriculum that we rolled out officially in the fall of 2024. And so I spent a lot of time recruiting not only my staff, but also students to be part of this program, to be part of something exciting, to come here to Syracuse intentionally to be part of the esports program. There were some bumps with that though. We started the first year with only 2 students in our esports major. And so obviously that's not ideal to have as a major only 2 students coming in as first year students. We had a couple of students that are also transferred into it that were here under sport management or in the high school or in engineering. So we had a total of about 11 students, which is okay, but we knew we wanted to grow that and grow quickly. And so on the academic side, our goal was to get about 25 or 30 more for the fall of 2025, and we got 39. And so we were very excited for that incoming class, which currently sits at about 52 students in our academic major. But it didn't start off that easy. Obviously, there's some bumps along the way, some course substitutions, figuring out what the best academic experience would be for these students. But I think we've gotten to a point that we're really happy with where it is. Things have gotten smoother. On the competitive side, yeah, it was tough because there were a lot of competitive teams that were part of the club system.
You came in after building Shenandoah's nationally recognized program. What playbook did you bring, and what did you change for Syracuse?
So yeah, really just kind of asked all these student teams, like, what did they want to do? What did they want the experience to be like? And so a couple of the teams decided they wanted to remain casual. League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, very casual still, remained as a club, which we still supported them and helped them out with resources where we could. But really the focus then became on the varsity teams and the teams like Call of Duty and Counter-Strike that said, we want to take this seriously. We want to put in the time, put in the structure to compete at a varsity level with the jerseys, with the coaching, with that infrastructure that goes with an official varsity organization, not just a club organization. And so that's where we really started that designation of who's competing at the varsity level, who's staying as a club level, to really offer the extra kind of opportunity to compete at that level. But I wanted to make sure students had that choice, right? I didn't want to just come in and say, you know what, here's what varsity looks like, here's what club looks like, here are the games we're offering, and here's how it's going to run. I wanted to make sure that this was, mutually agreed upon, that we were having the right conversations, giving students their voice and making sure they felt heard and valued and things of that nature. And also, again, to continue to make sure they were getting the experience they were expecting out of a program like an esports or a gaming program. And there's no better way to do that than to just ask them and have a conversation with them. So that's what we did during that first year in 2023. Luckily, our Counter-Strike team was really good. I had nothing to do with it. They won a national championship in the spring of 2024. And so it was great. I got to take credit for a national championship my first year working here at Syracuse. So I was like, this is great. This is an easy job. Like, I didn't know it'd be this easy to win a national championship. Knowing full well that I had nothing to do with it, but I'll absolutely take some of that credit. But they were great students. Yeah, these are great young men and women that I've gotten to know over time. So we have a lot of fun with that as well. Those early days, that origin story, it's the classic starting as a club and evolving to have some varsity offerings, but really the Chancellor initiative and his influence into the resources being poured into the facilities and then the resources into the academic program, the vision to have an academic program for esports, which is very non-traditional, very unconventional, and ruffled the feathers of some faculty and even the provost on campus. And I get it. I get that people don't understand how or why that esports could or should be an academic undertaking. Why is it a full 4-year degree program? Why not maybe a class here or there or a certificate program? And those are fine. That's absolutely fine to start that way, but the Chancellor wanted an esports major, 4-year degree program out of Falk and out of Newhouse, our College of Sport and our School of Public Communication. And that was hard because now I've got 2 different deans that I report to. Anybody that works in academia knows that reporting to 1 dean is hard enough. Reporting to 2 deans is a nightmare. But it's about that communication and finding a way to work together. And the classic line that I got almost on a daily basis from my main point of contact, his name is Jeff Rubin. He's our chief digital officer. He would always tell me, we will get there. And so I knew full well that no matter what was happening, no matter how I wanted to do things, and I know that academia moves slow, he would always tell me, it's okay, we will get there, we will figure it out, just stick with us. And so I have, and here we are 2 years later, a lot of things have gotten smoothed out, we're in a really good spot. I'm not saying it's perfect, I don't know if it'll ever be perfect, but I'm extremely happy with where we are and where we've come from, but I also know full well, man, we got a long way to go.
How do you balance varsity, club, and recreational users so the ecosystem feeds itself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if I do a good job of balancing or not. I have no idea. It's hard when you have different levels, different tiers of involvement, engagement, interest. But we want to engage all of the community at Syracuse and Syracuse University students, faculty, and staff in the most meaningful ways that we can. So we want to make sure that we are meeting where they are and offering as many opportunities as we can on the rec side, on the club side, on the varsity competitive, but also in professional development and working things like running the production during our events, like being team managers, like setting up their own events, bringing in guest speakers. These are things that serve learners really well post-graduation. These are things you don't really learn in a classroom sometimes either. That hands-on learning that we can have as part of this program is kind of a 4th subset. So recreation, club, varsity, and then you got professional development beside it too. But we're able to do that because I'm able to hire really, really good people to work with. So I came in and I heard the Chancellor's vision of being the best academic program, the best competitive program, the best facilities in the country, the best professional development. I was like, Chancellor, you're naming 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I was like, man, you're naming all kinds of things. Like, I'm with you. Like, I want to be the best too. This is great. I got to hire some good people to help me out. I can't do this on my own. And so they recognized that and they fully understood that. And so they said, okay, what are the positions you need to create? What do you need to do? Who do you need to bring in to be successful in doing all of these things? And so I was able to create I was able to create 3 new positions, as well as hire for a position that was already on campus as that person left before I got here. So I brought in some of the best students, some of the best people around the country in these particular areas. One of them, his focus is on program development on the academic side. So when you talk about professional development and undertaking experiential learning and internships and travel abroad opportunities, he helps coordinate that. I was able to bring in somebody on the production side that's able to run all of our production and social media, content creation, graphics, so that he can work with our students on that professional development on a daily basis to do that content creation, to do that streaming, to do the graphics that we need for all of the matches and all the content that we're producing. I was able to bring somebody in to run just the varsity team. He handles all of our scholarships, all of our scheduling, all of our recruitment that goes with that just varsity side. And then I was able to bring somebody in to run our recreational side of things, which also the club team falls under. So she handles all the recreational offerings and programming, anything from Dungeons and Dragons night to pinball night to varsity or Valor or Rivals night, whatever it might be. She's also able to run all of our facilities on campus and schedule a student staff in our facilities on campus. And then she works as our club advisor so that our club president is able to go to her with anything that he might have and get any resources or support that she might be able to offer. And I work with her on it to make sure we're supporting our club. We have all these recreational offerings. Our director of competition handles all the varsity side of things. Our director of production and outreach handles that side. And then our program manager handles the experiential learning. And I'm just at the top as this puppet master, making sure all these things are working together nicely. But that's what it takes. It takes a village to make these things happen. This is not a 1 or a 2-person show. This is a 7 full-time staff person organization that operates very intentionally to make sure that we are meeting the needs and interests of all of our stakeholders on campus. We're achieving the goals that our chancellor has set out in front of me to make sure we are creating that vision that he had 5 or 6 years ago in a way that makes sense, in a way that's beneficial, in a way that can lead the way for other programs to hopefully learn from and then make it their own and do it better. I hope people do it much better than we do, so I can steal their ideas and do even better than they do. That's the whole goal of what we do, right? And so it's been a lot of fun, but it takes the right people in the right position to make these things happen.
What student roles exist beyond players? Broadcast, content, ops?
We'll start with we have about 70 student workers in our program. The majority of those workers are front desk workers, right? So we have 2 facilities on campus that are open for all students to use free of charge. One of them is open 2 to 10, 7 days a week. One is open 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Any student, faculty, staff can come in, swipe their ID card, and be in that space to play games, to watch matches, to get on virtual reality or sim racing or pinball, whatever they might want to do. So the majority of those work the front desk because we obviously have to have a staff to check people in and make sure nothing's getting broken and everything's staying clean. Then we've got people that work with our varsity team. We have a team manager for each of our varsity teams to help with the scrims and the schedule and making sure the players are showing up when they need to show up. If there's any issues players have, they can go to the team manager, which then goes to us so we know what's going on. So we have a team manager for each of those. We have analysts that we employ out of our sport analytics program to capture data, to get stats that we can then turn into our coaches that either are students or we hire externally, or we get them to our casters. Because on the production side, we have about 20 positions that we employ, anything from casting to analysts to graphic designers to replay techs to directors, as well as just lighting engineers and sound engineers that we have in our production control rooms. And then we have social media. We have 4 students dedicated to social media and content creation. So we have a lot of different positions that we employ each year. Like I said, about 70 total different positions. And then we have volunteers. So a lot of first-year students, if they don't get hired, but they still want to get experience, we have them shadow these positions that usually belong to upperclassmen. That way, during their second year or third or fourth year, they're in a good position to be hired to do that for then somebody else to come in behind them and learn from them. So we want to make sure there's kind of this mentor-mentee aspect as part of it as well. And so those are the different positions that we employ for or volunteer for. And then, of course, we have events that we run all the time, whether it's high school events, college events, community events, that our students can volunteer for to be tournament organizers, referees, they could be runners, whatever we might need. I make sure that our students are volunteering their time to come be part of these events, to see how they're run, see how they're organized, to understand these are very, very long days, but they're getting that expectation in their minds from year one. So those are all the different positions we have. in addition to all the experiences that we have off campus that we also take students to.
You're part of the new Power Esports Conference. What is it, and why form it?
Yeah, PEC is exciting, man. I love being part of the PEC. I'm not saying there aren't challenges. There's always challenges, right? I don't know, what's the political way to say? There's always challenges and opportunities with any new venture. But the PEC is fun. I mean, such good people in the space. But the idea behind it really came from Doc Haskell, Chris Bilski, myself a little bit, but I give those two guys all the credit in the world for having the vision of really looking at what esports could look like at the Division I level. I'm not talking about Division I in terms of the best competitive teams, because yeah, there are schools like Maryville and Northwood and Winthrop and St. Clair and some of these schools that have incredibly talented esports teams across different game titles. That's great. That's a different model and different school than a school like Syracuse or Boise or Michigan State is finding a lot of value in competing with. We love competing and working with them. But what moves the needle for us is competing against schools that our students, our fans, our alums recognize, especially ones that are in the same athletic conferences like the ACC that Syracuse is in. There's more ACC schools. I know NC State, I know you're coming. But there's other ones that we know are down the road that we're trying to build up. But with Doc and Bilski and myself, we were like, let's get together and let's form this very intentional, structured competition that is amongst peer institutions. So Division I schools with FBS football teams that we can really build on the brand recognition and traditional rivalries that athletics has built for the last 100 to 150 years, and build on that to develop fans. Because that's really the next iteration of what the esports ecosystem needs at the collegiate level. Is the competition is there. The student learning is there. The student impact is there. Let's engage our fans. Let's engage the students that don't compete in esports, maybe not even play video games at a high level, but they're fans of the Syracuse S. And so why not invite them out to develop fandom and put Michigan State up there against Syracuse, develop some storylines, talk about the basketball history, talk about other sports history, and then show a Rocket League match with us versus Michigan State, or a Valor match with us versus Michigan State. But you're building on traditional branding and traditional rivalries from athletics that has been around for so long and is so powerful. That's the whole point of the Power Esports Conference. We're getting peer institutions to join in to develop competition amongst each other in very intentional ways where it lines up with traditional sports like football or basketball. We have matches those same weeks because it's about storylines and about building that narrative and that engagement for our casters and to build up the drama that can go with that. But it's also the fact that we can schedule things how we want to. With only a group of 9 of us, it keeps it very nimble, that we can schedule things that we compete against one school each week for 9 weeks during the fall, 8 weeks during the fall and 8 weeks during the spring. So 1 week against each school, but you play all 4 game titles against that school that week. So it's always Rocket League on Monday, Overwatch on Tuesday, Valorant on Wednesday, Smash Brothers on Thursday. But each week is against Boise State week, Michigan State week, Nebraska week, Ohio State week, and so on. And so it's really cool, like saying, all right, we're 1-1 against Ohio State this week. Let's see how we do in Valorant to see if we can get it to 2-1 before Smash Brothers comes up. So it's almost like you have this week-long competition too. And it's about bragging rights, about having fun in each different game title, but also the longevity of that week. And then that will build into our in-person finals that we run every April there in Las Vegas at the HyperX Arena. And so last year was the first time we ran that to great success. The teams came out and we were able to have our teams compete for all 4 titles in person for a championship at a premier esports facility in the world. And so you couldn't ask for a better experience, not just for us. It's not about me and Doc and Bilski and John Price and everybody else in the PEC. It's about the students that are part of these programs and give them that chance to be on some of these massive stages and for people to recognize them for the skills that they have, for the work that they have put in a way that they maybe haven't had before. So it's really a cool experience for them to get out and do that and engage and interact with each other that they've been playing each other online for a year, 2 years, 3 years even sometimes. Now they get to do it in person, shake each other's hand, get to know each other a little bit outside of the game. So what comes out of doing something like this that's very intentionally set up, is kept pretty intimate and pretty small, very intentionally set up for these peer institutions. You're developing fans in a way you never have before. You set up competition in a way you never have before. You have very traditional rivalries and storylines that you haven't had before in esports. And it all culminates into this massive in-person event at a premier location that our students are just gushing about still from last year. And you get people excited early on about. So the Power Esports Conference, I'm not even saying like it's the best title in the world. It's a placeholder name. I don't think me and Bilski and Doc are the most imaginative and creative people in the world at all. We were like, you know what? Power 5 schools, Power Esports Conference. That makes sense. And it just kind of stuck. So it's really been a fun ride. We're adjusting some things this year going into year 2. We have a new website out there. We have new socials out there, new streaming devices out there. And so we're really excited for where it is, but we're even more excited for what this can mean going forward and people to understand what this can grow into.
What does an ideal recruit look like academically and culturally?
Man, what an inexact science. I mean, I think recruiting is the most inexact science in the history of inexact sciences. And so when you talk about recruiting, you can talk about the competitive side, which of course, I have my director of competition and he scours the country, really the world, to bring in the top players in the varsity titles that we support. So he's on leaderboards, he talks to our current players and talks about who they know and what channels they're in and what tournaments he needs to go to scout players, recruit players. Our focus for competition is really that traditional pipeline of getting high school students that are graduating from high school to go to college. We would love to have some professional players on our teams because that would increase the competitiveness of our teams. And some schools have that at their school. They're lucky enough to be able to bring in current or former professionals to compete on their teams. That's just not what we've been able to do a lot of and not something we're focusing on. We like that traditional pathway from high school to college to make sure they're getting that degree. And so we look at high school competitions, state competitions, leaderboards, some recruiting platforms to kind of see like who's doing well at certain tournaments, and then offering them a chance to come to Syracuse, getting in a Discord call with them, keeping it super informal, and just seeing if you can develop that relationship just like you would for any kind of recruitment. As far as getting involved in the program, for students that are in our esports major, I tell them before they even step foot on campus, be present. You gotta be present. If I don't know who you are, if you're not in my office or my office suite or knocking on my door or bothering me, and I don't know who you are, it's hard for me to get you involved. But if you are constantly here, showing that effort, showing that leadership to step up and try new things, I will get you all the opportunities I can find. And so the recruitment is really kind of passive to get students involved because I put it on them. One of the questions I get from students and parents is always, what are the opportunities my son or my daughter will have as being part of this program, whether it's the major or professional development or just being hired by the program. And I tell them they're gonna get out what they put into it. Like I'm gonna offer them numerous opportunities to travel to work, to travel abroad, to do things on campus, to be involved in front of the camera, behind the camera, in management, and whatever it might be. I'm gonna give those chances, but I can't make a student do them. Those students have to step up. And so it's almost like passive recruitment that they're taking advantage of those opportunities to be involved. Of course, with our work positions, students will apply and we'll do our interviews and hire them as well. But really, it's just being present. It's me walking the floor of our facilities and talking to students, and talking to players about how they want to be involved, what their expectations are, how to increase things. Just a little while ago, about an hour ago, I was outside talking to some students and I said, hey, what are you working on right now? What are you doing this weekend? Nothing? Oh, why don't you volunteer for this Overwatch event that our club team is running with 6 other colleges coming to campus? And he's like, I didn't know that was a thing. I said, I talked about it in class. You got to be involved. You got to be present. So I always just I harp on students that it's not on me to offer you, to give you these opportunities to get you a job. That's on you. I will offer every opportunity possible and I will vouch for you every single time and help find a job by the time you graduate. But if you're not taking advantage of all the things that we're doing, and we're doing a lot, if you're not taking advantage of them, that's on you. And so it's just having very open, very true conversations, kind of harping on them over and over. They're freshmen and sophomores and juniors. I get it. I was in college. I wish I could go back to college. It was the most fun 4 years of my life. Love my wife. I love my family now. It's super fun, but college is a whole different thing. And so I get that it's hard to step up sometimes. But really, it's just about making sure they understand where the opportunities are, getting to know them as people, getting to know what their interests are, getting to know what their values are and what they want to get their experiences in, and then finding the right kind of situation to put them in a spot to be successful.
What milestones are on the near-term roadmap for facilities, teams, or curriculum?
Beating Michigan State and Boise State at all the titles. That's what I want to do. That's my biggest thing, is finally get over the hump of some of these PEC powerhouses. No, they're good people. They're all good students and good programs. So of course, increasing our competitiveness in the PEC, which we've done a good job this year of getting better at a couple of titles. We got some work in some other titles. But down the road, continuing to recruit at a high level. That obviously is a big goal of ours. Some other things we've got a third facility that we're building on campus that we're going to open up a new esports auditorium that seats about 150 people. more theater style seating, kind of like a traditional sports look would be for an arena, where it's got a stage with 10 PCs, big video board, cool lights, all that kind of stuff. But also a massive production facility that we're building that will open in January. So this will increase our productivity on the production side of things. It will have a big control room that is being mimicked off of our ESPN studios that we have on campus, just right down the road. But it also will have a black box studio for pregame shows and postgame shows. So we can increase the offerings that we're doing on the production side of things, get more students involved on not just the production, but also on content creation and personal streaming, having some streaming booths for them. So that new facility will open in January, knock on wood, that we would increase the capacity that we have, the competitions we have, and the production that we have. And then it's continuing to find opportunities for our students to travel abroad. I mean, yes, Korea is fantastic. We just took some students to Amsterdam a few weeks ago to learn from people at Ajax, a traditional football club that has an EAFC team. We took them to a big esports facility out in that region, as well as to Team Liquid's headquarters. And so continuing to get students involved in traveling abroad to understand the global ecosystem that is esports and entertainment, but also for global competencies, just to understand how to navigate a different language or different culture, I think is incredibly important. So we've got some ideas for where we're going to take students next. We're looking at, the Middle East region a little bit. We're looking at other European areas, some places in South America. And so those are the ones that are kind of on our radar to look at within the next year, taking students abroad. And we have some opportunities right here in the States with some events that we're working on that we've done in the past, like Boost on the Beach that we do in Myrtle Beach with Shenandoah University and work with them on it. So taking students down there, taking students out to Vegas with us for the PEC Championship to continue to offer opportunities. So travel abroad, travel domestic, working on some events that we're trying to bring to Syracuse, building a new facility, getting a little more competitive, and then continuing to offer these esports classes for our students to make sure that we're bringing in these classes and guest speakers and offering experiences within the classroom that's going to benefit them down the road as well, and evolving that curriculum to meet the demands of students, but also based on the feedback from people at like FaZe Clan and Gen G and Team Liquid and Riot about what they would expect people to understand and the knowledge and skills they want to have before they enter the workforce. So that continual evolution of the curriculum to make sure we're offering the best curriculum possible is something else that we want to make sure we do.
If an alum or partner wants to help, where's the best place to plug in?
Reach out to me. Come talk to me. I love talking to people. It's my favorite thing. That's why I drink energy drinks all day long, so I can keep talking to people. No, but seriously, we have a website that obviously has all of our contact information and more information about the program and how to reach out to me. My email address is on there. My Discord is honestly the easiest way to get a hold of me. Certainly, I'm not creative, like I mentioned earlier. My Discord name is just my name. Joey Gariziak is one word, all undercase. And so super easy to reach out through there. You can follow us on Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days, Instagram and TikTok, Qs_esports. We're also on Twitch and YouTube. YouTube probably has the most content, has all of our curated long form and short form stuff. We also stream both on there and on Twitch. So check us out on our socials, check us out on our streams, reach out to me with any questions. Like I said, Joey Gariziak on Discord. My email address, you can find it online or just give me a Google, it'll pop up. My last name is Terrible People, so it looks like a cat walked across the keyboard, so I'm not even gonna spell it out for you, but you can find it on there. Happy to talk anytime and get people involved and just let them understand what we're building out here.
What is a myth about collegiate esports you wish more administrators understood?
I think just making sure people understand what we're trying to build, that it's not just about Syracuse, certainly not about this guy. It's about, let's raise the bar. The bar has been so low for so long in esports that we need to make sure people understand what esports can fully be as an educational opportunity, and they've got to understand it beyond gaming. I think that tagline beyond gaming is so incredibly important that people understand it's not about just playing the video games. It's about everything that gaming and esports can offer as an educational opportunity to current and future learners. We got to get there. We got to get there as an ecosystem to make sure it's not just about winning championships. It's about everything else that involves our students, our fans, our community, our families, our alums, our donors. That's what makes this so special at the collegiate level, and it's something that really the US and Canada can capitalize on, because it's not something that's really ingrained in European or Asian countries to do something at the collegiate level like this. So let's just keep leading the way. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep being uncomfortable. That's what it's all about. But it's about the students and what we can offer to them through this really unique and fun lens, and hopefully not burn out at the same time, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, but man, it's a lot of fun.
What did the Gen G partnership unlock? Experiential learning, guest lectures, internships?
Yeah, we love our friends at Gen G. We love them. I mean, they're such good people, and that's all you're looking for out of partnerships or ways that you work with organizations. You want good people. You want people that are in it for the right reasons, and those reasons are to benefit learners, right? We want to make sure that students are getting this chance to get experiences they couldn't otherwise get, and that's what this partnership with Gen G really unlocks. So we signed a partnership last December with them. It's really unique for us in that it's a way to work friendly together on different activations that we come up with during the year. One example of that is that we ran an event called Campus Takeover about a month and a half ago in the middle of September of this year, where we brought speakers from Gen G out. Their executive team came out. They were able to speak to students, speak on panels, in addition to other panelists that we brought up from different universities and colleges around the country, as well as other professional organizations and high schools that are in the area, just to learn from each other, to hear from each other, to talk about what's going on in esports at the collegiate level, the high school level, even the professional level, and what this means in the greater ecosystem and how it benefits students, because all of our students attended that. So this partnership allowed us the chance to run that event with Gen G. In addition to that, we send students out to Korea at least every summer, but we're also working on maybe doing that every winter to go in addition to that. Students get to go to the Gen G campus in Seoul for 3 weeks to work with Gen G on projects and learn from their organization and administration about how they run things, what the business is like. Students get projects and work in groups for about 3 weeks, and they're able to make presentations about their ideas to the Gen G staff. At the end of it, some of those have been implemented, like building the new LAN center that Gen G just opened a few months ago during the summer. Our students were able to help work on that and some ideas that went with that. So yeah, going to Korea, I mean, what a great experience for students to do. So the partnership with Gen G has allowed us to do that and expand upon it. And it even got us a chance to send a student to Saudi because they're building some stuff out in the Saudi region in Riyadh, because that's a hotbed for esports. One of our students from that practicum was invited to go join them in Saudi for a week as well for the opening of the Esports World Cup. So, I mean, you can't put a price tag on how valuable something like that is with this partnership. And we help them with some other ideas about what education looks like, workforce development, talent workforce, those things that also will benefit Gen G down the road. But yeah, that partnership is really unique and really beneficial to us and to them, which is what a partnership should be. It should be mutually beneficial. And now we're seeing where there might be other chances to work with other esports organizations in a similar fashion, because other esports orgs are seeing what Gen G is doing and they're like, you know what, that's a good idea. I want to be part of that. So just wait and see what's coming down the road.